Hey everyone, how are we doing? Good to see everyone here. We got Evan here, we got Shaq here. Good. Oh, Evan here, we got Shaq here. Good. Oh, got the video going in the background. Good to see everyone. And the Rivet question, you bet. We've done a few of these, but we're gonna hop into it. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We were finishing up class. It's interesting because, like, when I stream online, I hop between streams. So we were just finishing class. Let me get my Pearson up and going, and let's take notes right here. We've got the standardized test question. So we've got, also SAT question. Thousands of students take the SAT. There we go. How's the Rivet question start? That last part, I saw people mentioning part D. How's that happen? The Rivet question. Rivet question's good till the end. We'll solve it properly this time. Rivet question. And then do we have another one? And then we'll get started here in a second. And there we go. Good stuff. Drop those questions in the chat if you have any questions. Remember, we just work through every question we have. We do as much as we can. And so let's take a look. Ma Pearson up and going. The Rivet question. We have the test 2 weeks from yesterday. The test. And we've got a really good plan for Stat 201. You can find another one. What? We're going to do the SAT question coming up right here. I think the SAT one's an excellent one. Chapter 5 is the chapter to practice. Chapter 6 is going to be way easier. Chapter 6 is way easier. It's Chapter 5 Part 1 quiz, right? Chapter 5 Part 1 quiz. We haven't even thrown any Mubot points yet. I've got everyone on those 1,000 points. They want those 1,000 points. Let's go over here and load up the quiz. And here it is. Okay, the IQ one. We can do the IQ one. Yeah. IQ question. Oh my gosh. Hit a space. IQ question. How does the IQ one start? Stat 201. Here we go. I'm writing all the questions down right now as we speak. Play one more song here. We'll get started. And chapter 5 quiz. There we go, right there, part 1. A town's January temperatures. I got 33K points. Yes, wow, Blake, nice work right there. IQs. Okay. Excellent work there, Blake. 500,000 points is the max. You reach max level then. I feel like do the question, but it makes a small difference that caused me to not get 100. Let's get that 100. So each year, high temperatures, right? We need to find that one. Each year, thousands of something. Each year, thousands of something. I found the temperature one. There's two questions I really don't like on this one because it's like converting. Oh, is this the one? No, it's the temperature one, right? So each year, thousands up. Here we go. Oh, I think this is another one. Oof. Let's do one of Brian's least favorite questions. There's time we can go number 1 on homework. Yeah. Let me put that right here. BAS 474. Of course. This is office hours for everyone. So homework assignment 3, question 1. Okay, let's get started here on Stat 201. Drop those questions. And let's do it. 2 languages. Let's drop that one here. Thank you, Taylor. And I've got that one right here. We're going to put that right here. And here we are on the first Stat 201 question. Each year, thousands of high school students take the SAT and ACT. So this was pretty tough right here because we can do some quick conversions, it looks like. So with it has right here, there's a converting rule of thumb that SAT equals 40 times the ACT plus 150. Who knows which scale this is on because they've changed the SAT and ACT a lot. At a 0 and we got a deal. So let's take right here. Pay Evan minus 1,000. So the lowest score for the SAT was what? So the lowest score right here can just go through this conversion formula. And let's go ahead and take the lowest score right here. Now this is because these are positions in the data. You'll notice this for like the mean, the max, the min. We can just convert these. And we want to think about, let's just try converting all of these to start. The things we can convert. Okay, so let me grab the data thing too. The data. So let's go over here and convert these right here. Okay. So we need to run through and convert as many of these as we can. The ones we can convert right now nice and easily are going to be the lowest score, which is the min, the Q3, the median, the mean, but we can't convert these right now. We can't convert those. So let's go ahead and start working with this. Well, when we have our data right here, we're just going to plug into this formula, the ones we can convert. Let's highlight it with the yellow. So the ones we can convert nice and easy are going to be this. Okay, so the lowest score right here is simply going to be plugging in 21. So can anyone find that for me? This is the ones you can do nice and easy. So what is it going to be? What is the SAT relative to the lowest ACT score? What is the SAT relative? So we're just going to plug into this formula. You're just going to take the value you see right here and plug into the formula. 990, sure. Great job right there, Evan. We like it. You know, we said give him 1,000 points. Let's do it. We don't have it stored. Great job. Keep getting those points. Remember, show up to office hours. That's where we throw out tons of points. You never know. So we're just going to plug into the formula, and we plug in 21. Please tell me if I do my math wrong. It's possible. It happens all the time. There we go, 990. Nice job. So we got 990 for the first one. And now we have Q3. Check my work, please. Oh my gosh, that was a problem. 1390. Let me double check again. I'm putting them below their respective answers. So let's check again because I hit some extra buttons. There. Oh my. What is wrong with me today? 40 times 31 plus 150. There we go. And it was the right answer. I fixed it because I knew what I entered was wrong and did the math to fix it on the first time I did it. 28 times 40 plus 150. 1270. And now over here we get 40 times 29. So this is going to be 40 more than that. Plus 150. We should get 1310. We do. So I'm just checking it also as I do this because it makes sense that this is one more. It should also be one more in terms of 40 because we're just doing another 28, 29, timesing it extra time right there. So these are the answers here. But now we run into a bit of an issue. The standard deviation being 2, well, let's take a look at it. With the standard deviation of 2, that means that people would have a distribution of ACT scores, where the ACT score looks the following way. The ACT score is going to have a mean of 28 and a standard deviation of 2. And so let's see. So the standard deviation of 2 right here is shown visually right here. But when we do the work on changing it over to SAT, we'd need to change these numbers. Now, we already have some of these numbers. The mean of 28 is 1270. And we don't have, so the median would be another 40. I mean, not the, so I right here, go right here, and I can show you the math for this, but 1350. Looks like the standard deviation is that you can just times it by, so you wouldn't want to times that by 2. You see right here, the 2 is going to be the difference of 40 right here, times 2. And then also, it looks like the IQR is going to be the distance of 40 also, times 2. So the IQR is also going to be right there. So here is the new distance right here. Should be right. That's going to be times 40. And then the IQR is also going to be the distance because these are measures of spread right here. So you have the two ways you're solving these. One is solved. So the new standard deviation is 80 and the IQR is 160 because we times those by the measure of spread. The position part doesn't really matter because the spread right there is being augmented it's being augmented, it's being grown by the timesing of 40 to it. So that's what's happening to it. But the plus 150 should not be done right there. So don't do that. because we're not going to be doing it as a position in the data. So that's where the new center is. So that's what they're trying to point to. They're pointing to right here that this is going to control the center and the spread, and this only controls the spread right there. The center is completely controlled by that part of the equation. The whole equation finds the new kind of position in the data, where the highlighted pink part of the equation is just going to change the spread of the data. So that should be right. Should be right. We say should. The lowest SAT score. Let's put this over here. The lowest SAT score. These are tricky questions. Let me disappear here so we can get it. The lowest SAT score is going to be 990. The mean for the SAT is going to be 1270. The standard deviation is now 80. Remember, we drew it out a little bit here to figure out what's going on by resolving it, confirming, and I wrote 40 right there. It is 80, the distance right there. A standard deviation, excuse me, not a standard deviation. Half the standard deviation is 40. The distance right here, I solved 28. If you solve 28, you will get 1270, which was the original mean of the data, hence 28 right there. 30, you put it through the equation, you will get 1350, i.e. the new standard deviation is here 80, and then we can deduce that timesing 2 by 40 is what's going to change right there. The 150 is a constant to add to it. So the new standard deviation is 80. Q3 for the data, which is the 75th percentile, is 31 right here. The median for the data is going to be 1310. That's still just a position right there. And then the IQR for the data is going to be 160. Now remember, IQR is a measure of spread. You wouldn't want to get something crazy right there. We should get it. 83%. What is wrong? Is it the IQR? Nope. Did I misenter something? The new... Wait, right here. Look at that. We do it so perfectly. And then what should that be? Follow along. What should that answer be? Hello, Corbin. Good to see you here. Brian got one wrong, but Brian misentered his answers. What should that answer be? We do have the answer on the screen. What should that answer be? I need someone to help me out. That was a data misentry. You might be able to argue that one and say, Brian, I just misentered my ACT. I have the answer. What should we have entered? Everything was done correctly right here. 1390. So that is where we done. I just grabbed the wrong answer. It happens all the time. This should be 1390, and now we've done it. There we go. Good question. Just a little more mathy than I like. I would just use conversions. Like asking you to back convert stuff. This is not really a good test question in my opinion, but it's a good, like, it's more math than I like. I don't like so much math. It's tough. Double check your answers. Good job, everyone here. We're here to practice and show the theory behind how to do stuff. So let's get to that next question and talk more theory. The rivets question with the new last part to it. The rivets question. Where is it? Is it? I think it's like the last question. Nope, not there. Where are you, rivets question? Oh, is the rivets question on the second part 2, or is it on the homework? Is the rivets question on the homework? Could you do the one about the European shoe size? Yep, another conversion one. European and US shoe sizes. It's on the quiz. Okay, part 1. How did I miss it? Oh, it is the last question. I went to question 19. It's question 20. Quiz part 1. Here we go. Got the European shoe sizes. And here we go. Question 5. Standard deviation of the Celsius conversion. Yeah, we can do Celsius conversion too, Lindsay. All those conversion ones. Woof. Not the biggest fan of them. Not the biggest fan of those. We got the rivet question. We could do Celsius conversion coming up here in a little bit. Let's do the rivet question. Here we go. Town listed tangerine high. Yep. Here's the upcoming list of what we got. And let me grab the conversion, Celsius conversion. Let me add that to the list. We're going to do as much stat as we can, then hop over to little 474. There we go. Celsius conversion. That is the upcoming list of questions right here. You're welcome. I try to keep them in order so that way I can see what to do next. I used to try to remember them, and then I forget. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. because that's what it is. We're here to practice and get these questions right and learn the theory behind it. The Rivet question is an excellent question that has a lot of great theory. So the first thing you want to do is know the what rule. What do we call the rule for the numbers on this graphic? You can find the answer to this pretty quickly if you know how the rule works. So what is the rule called for the numbers on this graphic? What do we call this rule? You don't have to know the name of it. As Rock would say, it doesn't matter. I mean, it kind of does. We call it by that sometimes. The empirical rule. So the empirical rule says that within plus or minus 1 standard deviation is 68% of the data. Within plus or minus 2 standard deviations is 95. Within plus or minus 3 is 99.7. So looking at this, you can easily tell from this graphic that a standard deviation is how much. Drawing the standard normal curve here might help. So remember, it's within plus or minus 1 standard deviation. So how much is a standard deviation on the graphic I chose? Now, I chose the right graphic. How much is a standard deviation right here? These are the z-scores, and this is called the standard normal curve. So how much, and these are the things you should know for the test. So how much is a standard deviation here? On this curve, a standard deviation is in units of what? The standard normal uses z-scores, normally distributed with a mean of 0 and standard deviation of 1, but the context of our curve is using a standard deviation of what? 60. Great job, Lindsay, right there. More points in the chat. We'd say it's normally distributed with a mean of 600 and a standard deviation of 60. So I actually chose the right graphic because I saw what it was asking. Great job right there, Blake, too. The standard deviation there is 60 units, and the mean is at the center of the curve, which is 600, and that's what the notation normally distributed, meaning the shape, 600 at the center, and a standard deviation of 60. So I chose that for the reason because the question asked me to. It said it has a mean of 600 and a standard deviation of 60, so I had to choose the associated graphic. The other graphics don't have the right standard deviations. That's the difference between them. So now it says, would it be safe in this situation to use a shear strength of 540 pounds? Well, we need to go back to our graphic. Back. And what do we see right here? 540 has a z-score of what? 540 has a z-score of what? Now, it's really easy if you mark it. Meredith, great to see you here. Ask any question you got. 540 has a z-score of what? 540 has a z-score of what? -1. Great job, Ethan, right there. -1. So what we would do is we'd say 68% is within here. So what is total outside? My first question is, what is total outside? This is how to solve it. What is total outside? If 68% is between, what is total outside? Perfect 8. What is total? 32, right? Do we want 32 or what do we want? We don't want 32, right? We want what? Because we want this area. We want the area below here. So what would be the answer? Not 32. And then you divide it in half to get 16. Great job. So that's half of 32, which is 16. So if you look at the answers right here, you can see pretty quickly that no, and they're saying no, it would not be safe, and they give you only one with 16. Now we want above 720. So whenever you're trying to find out the answers here, what is the first thing you would do to find above 720? I should probably know the what of 720. 720, the first thing Brian would do in solving questions like this is find the what of it. Now, I always draw this on my curves. So the first thing Brian's going to do if he's finding the answer to how much area is above 720 is he's going to find the what of 720. The very first thing. Hey, Cameron, great to see you here. Aw, thank you so much, Cameron. Let's throw Cameron 1,000 points. Good to see you, Cameron. Awesome. And great job, Evan, right there. Let's throw 1,000 points in the chat. Good to see some former students in the chat. We love it. So we'd go right here, and we would mark the z-score. So what number do you first hear in your head? Now, you might already know the answer because we're looking for this. But what number do you hear when you hear 2 and -2? We're going to do the same procedure again. These are really great test questions. So you hear 2, z-score of 2, right? And if you draw these things out, they're all easier. You think 2. When you hear 2, you think 2. How about 95? Because if 95 is between here, how much is outside of there? How much is outside? So if 95 is between, 95 is between, right? So then what is outside? 5%. So what are these things worth? These things right here are worth how much? Great job, Cameron. We're throwing Cameron some 1,000 points again. I love it when former students come and answer questions too. Cameron just earning everyone some big points right there. So there we go. That's the answer. The answer is 2.5 because we're just concerned about that region right there. Now, this last one, not the biggest fan of what they added to this question. So they're kind of talking about a 6 sigma process right here where they're going out 6 standard deviations. And this question should simply be read, go 6 standard deviations below the mean. So less than 1 in it, the maximum, the minimum shear strength. It should simply be read, go 6 standard deviations below the mean. So how can I find out what 6 standard deviations is? This question should literally just read, the company wants to figure out what 6 standard deviations below the mean is. Well, what's 6 standard deviations? And make sure, you know, so it says, I expected maximum. We want minimum. Times 6 by 60, boom, times 6 times 60. There you go right there. And then what do I do now? I want 6 standard deviations below the mean. So technically what I want is way off the curve down here. I want way, way, way down off the curve. So what should I do? Subtract it from 600. So we're going to go to 600 and go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 standard deviations. So we go, and this is the minimum shear strength. I wish they just said it in better language on here. There's a new question this semester. That should be right there. 75. Wait, what? Oh my gosh, what is up with me? That one's right. What did I do? Do you see it? Do you see it? What is the answer to the previous question? I made an error. What is the answer? I was getting ready for that last question. What is the answer to the previous question? It's not 2.5. The answer to the previous one is not 2.5. I need more coffee this morning. It's not 2.5. We don't want that area. We want this area. So we don't want the 2.5. What do we want? $97.4. Great job, Ethan. Very common mistake. A lot of people make that on the test because we might say above or below. So you definitely want to check that. So if 2.5 is above, 97.5 is below. And there we go right there. Good to see you here, Katie. Woo! We got to wake up. I got the last sip of this first cup of coffee. We need more coffee, everyone. Easy to make mistakes. Got to practice. That's why you get 5 attempts. So watch this. We're going to speed run this question just to show it. Wait, watch this. So this is question number 20. You ready? Let's speed run it. You ready? With our knowledge and making sure we can speed run it, let's speed run it. Assignment is due day. Got to wake up. I know, right? So we're going to speed run that exact same question. We're going to show that question what's up right here. Here we are with same question. How fast can we do it? Let's bring up the speed run timer. So here we are. Speed running the question, getting it right. Can we do it as quick as possible? Speed run on the clock. Let's make it happen. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Standard deviation is 20. Find the graphic with the standard deviation of 20. Got it. We're talking 630. That's 1 standard deviation below the mean. That's going to be 16%. We're talking 690. 690 is going to be up here at the top. Then that's going to be 2 standard deviations. The amount below is 97.5. Then we got right here, we're talking 6 standard deviations. 6 standard deviations is going to be 6 times 20. So 6 times 20, subtract that from 650. That's 530. Well, that's a small standard deviation. That is going to be the minimum. So that's going to be 530 as long as I'm doing my math correctly. Double checking 530. I think we got it. I think we're good to go. Got that 100. Boom. We almost went sub 30 right there. That goes out to Mitch Flower Power right there. Mitch Flower Power, if you can beat sub 30, you'd be the new champion of speedrunning this question right here. Oh, wait, did you do a math? It's 650 right there. 650. I was doing it in my head, so I was a little worried. I did a strat right there where you do it in your head and you get a little bit worried. That was your bad right there? Mm-hmm. I think it sometimes changes the question a little bit to give you different. Watch out because 780, that's 2 standard. Is it always 2 standard deviations? They should mix that up. See, I'm Z-scoring. Is it always? Hopefully it gives a different one that's not always 2. That's kind of a bummer because I don't want people to just know the answer is 1697. Because if you know that, it's a little cheat to do it. Yeah, don't. They used to change it up. Man, that's a bummer that they keep it the same. We can't change the part of the pivot table. That's such a bummer. They need to do a different version where they change the position of that. I swear that used to change, and they added on this extra part to it. But I thought, well, looks like it doesn't change. So, it says, yeah. So let's check it out. Let's do another question right here. Shh, we should. I know, right? I know, right? So sometimes you figure things like that out during office hours. So, are you less fearful of this question now? How fearful of this question are you now? When you look at this question and you go, okay, let me see how to do this question. You go here. You go here. That's not fair. Times 6, 360. That's not fun math in your head. I'm just gonna do this on my head. Well, is it 490? No, it's 390. Oh, I got that one wrong. Oh, I said maximum. Dun dun dun. I say maximum, you get it wrong. So it should be minimum. So you got to go with the maximum shear strength, the minimum. Oh, did they change it? They both say maximum. Am I wrong? A very small probability of failure is desired, less than 1 out of a minimal million, or 6 of below the mean, below the mean, below the mean. There we go, below the mean, below the mean. Because we're doing below. It's 390, but it's below the mean. I didn't see the below the mean right there. So the below the mean, because we're not going above the mean, we're going below the mean. So decent question. Last part, not the biggest fan of, because we would never word things that way. But let's check out another one right here. Let's go over here to the IQs question. What does the IQs question say? Speed run clock going away. We're just having a little fun here during office hours. No, I don't want to say my splits. The IQ question, a little chill music while we get going right here. IQs. Here we go. Some IQs. Is it the some IQs question? Some IQs. Might grab a second cup of coffee after this one. Okay, we got some IQs right here. And with this, let's take a look. Some IQ tests are standardized with a normal distribution of 102 and 13 standard deviation. So what should you do? We like to say this. If you really want to understand this, what should you do right here? What should you do with this question? What should you do? They're really draw it out, right? So you go right here and do 102 and 13. And so we go here. And great job, everybody. Thank you so much, everyone, following along. So we get normally distributed with 102, comma 13. Draw our normal curve. And go right here and do 102. And then go up by 13. And 90, 78, 66, 1. Please tell me if I get a number wrong. 114, 126. That's right, 138. Z-scores are 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. Let me pause right here and say this. If you've never drawn out this curve, please try to draw it out. It's one thing to watch me draw it. It's another thing to sit down yourself and practice putting the mean at the center of the curve, which will have a z-score of 0, and to draw the standard deviation right here of 13 that you go up each time to make sure you understand how to do this. Great job right there, Blake, right there, and good practice. So the 2 standard deviations is unusual, which is, I'm starting to wonder where they're going with this question. So it says right here, any IQ more than, it wouldn't be 1. 1's pretty normal. So we're between these two answers right here. Any IQ more than 2 standard deviations away from the mean or greater than 3 is highly unusual. Or greater. Okay, so then they're giving the context. One would expect to see an IQ score 3 standard deviations above the mean or greater than only rarely. So is unusually high. So okay, so if you look right here, the wrong answers are with the 1 You're welcome, Cameron. Did you go in person? If you went in person, that's awesome. If you just watched it, that's awesome too. Glad you liked it. So 1 is not unusual. So the way to narrow down this one right here, Forza, yeah, we're gonna do some Forza 4 coming up here soon. Drop those questions in the chat and we'll do them. You got it. So 1 is not unusual. Does that make sense to everybody right here? When it says an IQ score more than 1 is unusually high. 1 as a standard deviation, 1 as a z-score is not unusual. So we could narrow that one down as wrong because 1 is not unusual. And then another one right here also says 1 standard deviation above the mean or greater than this only rarely. So that's not unusual either. So both of these answers right here are going to be wrong. So this right here is going to be where we start to talk about things being unusual. So 2 standard deviations above the mean is what? How could you solve what a z-score of 2 is just using your knowledge and not looking at your graphic? If you drew the graphic, the answer's on the screen, but how could you solve a z-score of 2 for what the context is? So how could you solve a z-score of 2 for what the context is? So how would we figure out the context of a z-score of 2? How would you figure that out? So the z-score of 2, which is the 2 standard deviations above the mean, what would you do right here with this information? What would you do? What would you do? Multiply it by 13. Exactly. Just say 2 standard deviations. 13 times 2 plus 102. There it is right there. And then double confirm by looking at your chart. Ooh. Ooh, we did it wrong. Look at that. I purposely did that. We actually did it incorrectly. I did a standard deviation of 12 right here. So you can make mistakes. Gosh, what's up, everyone? I need to wake up today, right? So look at that. That's why we double check our work. No more mistakes today. We're going no more mistakes. There we go right there. Those should be the answer. I'm in trouble with the visualization assignment. It barely started. Yeah, we could do some visualization. Probably do that here towards the end. Might have to do it during office hours too, but we could do some visualizations. I know, almost. This is an almost. Got to get that second cup of coffee today. So we checked our answer by doing 2 standard deviations. 2 times 13 is 26, plus 102 is 128. And now we could do 3 standard deviations by going 3 times 13 plus 102. And guess what? By seeing the answer there, we've confirmed our answer is 141. I thought these were the only... Nope. Later today, office hours we have, and then we have a special coding office hours. They should be there. Oh, you know what we need to do? Check answer. Woo! Getting those answers right. Let me go to the YouTubes and make sure, and thank you so much. We got 12 people or 11 people watching right now. So let me go to the playlists and make sure these are up at the top of the playlist of the office hours, because it should show upcoming videos. But I like to move these to the top of the playlist so people can see, okay, wait, this is coming up. So there's the exam 1 review. Oh, we don't even move the ones from yesterday up. Wait, aren't these the only office hours today? Oh, they are, right? Oh my gosh, then we got to do more. Move to top, move to top, close out this, move to top, move to top. Organization on YouTube. I wish it just automatically put those to the top. I don't know if there's a way. Okay, you're right. Today, this is the only office hours. Maybe 4 office hours. Oh, we try to do as much as we can, as we've got more time right here to do another one. We have a town's January high temperatures. Let's go find that one right here. And thank you so much, Blake and everyone. Let's throw more points. People are doing awesome on those points. Jackson's already at the Kayla level. Katie's getting more points too right here. Let's go find the January high temperatures. Is that it right there? Was that it? Was that the question? A town's January high temperatures. A town's January high temperatures. A study was conducted. Here we are, a town's January high temperatures. Ooh, I think I like this one. I like z-scores. We're going no more errors right here. Okay, is Kayla level high? It is. There's more levels, though. Mubot died? He's still fine. Mubot's here. He's in the background.
I am fine. I am not evil, though. Brian, you have to work the question.
Thank you, Mubot. He's still here. He's still talking about some bunnies in the chat. So with this question right here, let's see what we got. We are comparing temperatures and trying to figure out which is the most unusual. So we get two different distributions. So the best way to do this question is to draw it out. And let's take a look. We have a distribution of the January temperatures. The January temperatures come from a distribution that is normally distributed. And so we put normal right here with a mean of the average is 37 and the standard deviation is 12. We're just grabbing this data right from here. January has the following data. Trying to summarize it and help us understand what's going on so we can eventually just draw it out. The July temperatures. So now we got July. Of course, it's got to be another J month. Jan versus July. Normally distributed with a mean of 72 and a standard deviation of 6. What do you notice about July? July has a higher what to the data. July has a higher what to the data because the mean starts with a C. July has a higher what to the data. July has a higher what to the data. July has a higher what? Oh no! I've got that extra distribution too close. There we go. July has a higher mean, higher center, right? So when we put 37 right here, this also has a bigger spread to it. We'd go up to 49, up to 51, up to, oh my gosh. I think I lost my ability to do arithmetic today. Up to 61, up to 73, down to 25, down. What am I doing right now? Can anyone explain what I'm doing as I do this procedure right here that I often do when I write my normal curves? Once again, the best practice for these. So if you're practicing right now, I'm going to find some z-scores. Yep, I could put the z-scores below it. I'm finding the standard deviations above and below. So drawing out a little sketch of your curve is a great idea to figure out the answers to these questions. So I like to put my z-scores and just do a quick sketch of what we have going on. And I go put the center as the mean and go up and down the amount of standard deviations. This is the real practice right here. Make sure you don't make errors. After going to chapter 5, can we go over the pivot tables and how to do them? Yeah, Ivana, we should do that. Sounds like a good idea. We might need to do some 474. How long do we have? We still have more time, right? Oops, I keep clicking that button. We have Google Calendar. We have another like 45 minutes or so. I usually go a little bit longer than we say. So now it says, which of these is more unusual? 55 in January or 55 in July? So let's go to 55 right here, and it should be clear to see that 55 is down here. And I can actually tell you the z-score of that by seeing it. It's negative 2.833. We'll find that in a second. And then z-score up here for 50 is going to be right here. And that is going to be a 12th. Oh my gosh, a 12th, really? Really? Can't think of a 12th in my head today. Oh, no, wait. So that's a 6th is that. So a 12th is this. So it's going to be 1.166, I think. So how did we get these? Oh, sorry. No worries right there. Leanne right there. Mubot got mad. He thought it was links right there. I think you're fine. Mubot, chill out. You're cool. You cool, Mubot? And remember, we can't put direct code in the chat. I'm going to add you as a moderator, Leanne, but I'm just going to remove the comment. Remember, we don't want people to see the code, but Leanne, you're now a moderator too. But let me know. We'll take a look because we don't put the direct code so people can't copy it. So we just practice right here. But Leanne, great question. 1,000 points. Thank you for asking right there. And Mubot's just he's a little mad. He was mad earlier. We were talking to him, but great job, Leanne. And we'll do some more to 474 coming up here soon. So good work. So with this right here, how did I get these answers? How do we know the answers for the z-scores? He's mad today. How do we do this? And Leanne's hang around. We're going to do some 474 coming up here soon, about 15, 20 minutes. So I think, remind me which question that's over. Question 5. So how do we find the z-scores on this? You have to know how to get z-scores. I was able to solve for the z-scores, and I think I have them right. We're going to check them. How do we get z-scores? Now, you can view it here visually, And you can kind of get an idea for the z-scores, but how do you get z-scores? What is the formula for z-scores? It's Hassle Friday. The observation minus the mean over the standard deviation. Great job, Blake, right there. The observation minus the mean over the standard deviation. So we need to do this twice. We need to do observation minus mean over standard deviation, where the observed value is 55 for both of them. So the observed value up here is 55, and we need to run it for both distributions. So we're going to take 55 and plug that down here in the y observed value, which is what we observe right here, but we're going to talk about it as a z-score. That's where 50... Ooh, I did this one wrong. 55 is over here, and... Oh, that's even easier. It's 1.5. There we go. So let's run it through and do it correctly. So we need to run observation of 55 minus mean for the first one of 37 divided by 12, and that should be equal to 1.5. 55 minus 37 divided by 12 is 1.5. I can see it there visually on my graphic. The second one is going to be the negative one, which is 55 observation of 72 minus the mean over 6. And if I know my sixth, then I've done this correctly right here. So 55 minus 72 divided by 6 is that right there. And we've done it correctly. Doing the drawing can really help. If you look at my drawing right here, 55 is directly halfway between 49 and 61. So it's a half a standard deviation, making it 1.5 standard deviations above the mean. And we can also solve that down here mathematically. Practicing like this and understanding what z-scores are and how to draw the normal curve and your standard normal curve is very important. So now that we have the answers, let's go ahead and input them. It is more unusual to have a high temperature of 55 in July. A high temperature of 55 in July is 2.8. Does it say to 3? How many decimals? Enter in 3 decimals. Really? 2.833 standard deviations below the mean, and a high temperature of 55 in January is 1.5 standard deviations above the mean. That is more unusual right there. Excellent work, and great job with the formulas in the chat. So next, we have 2 language majors. 2 language majors. We should know our equations really well. 2 language majors. 2 language majors. It's just 2 language majors. What was that question? Thousands of years. 2 language majors. This one's pretty interesting right here. This is another good z-score one. No, I think we're doing 5,000 for classes. Remember, we're doing 5,000 if we beat Florida. We're doing a big 5,000 for shout out for the Vols right there. That's if we beat a team that is like our rival, I'll throw some crazy points. So make sure to be there. Make sure to be in class. We also throw some big points on test days and days after test days. So if you're watching this question now, so make sure to be there test days, days after test days. That's where I drop some big points. We'll drop it for some wins also. So here we are with 2 language majors right here. Which of Anna and Megan qualify for language honors? So let's take a look. With this, we have what is language honors? And here we go. Anna scored an 82 on both exams. So would that be Y, mu, or sigma? If Anna scored an 82 on both exams, would that be Y, mu, or sigma? Y is the observation. Mu is the mean for a distribution. Sigma is the standard deviation for a distribution. And they're taking 2 exams right here. They're taking an exam in just exam 1, exam 2. So would that be Y, mu, or sigma? Her scores on the exam. Sarah Leo missed one. They did the z-score I put. Yeah, message me, Evan. We'll fix that. We'll fix that. That's fine. We can fix that. But I must go. Evan, let me fix that real quick for you, Evan. I'm going to go over here and fix that while we're talking. It's another one of the benefits of being here. If you do a small decimal error or something like that, always let me know, and we can fix that. So we're going to fix that real quick right here so we can get it done, and then we're going to finish off this one. What would we call in notation somebody's score on the exam? Somebody's score on the exam is known as what? Somebody's score on the exam is known as the what? I'll fix here in a little bit right here between scenes. The score on the exam is known as the what? So if Anna scored an 82 on both exams. That's Anna's observation for exam 1, Anna's observation for exam 2. Does that make sense right there? A study was conducted. We can do that one here coming up. You bet, Evan. So does that make sense why I'm calling it this? And then Megan's scores right here. Megan has exam 1 score this. Megan has exam 1 score, exam 2 score that. Does that make sense right there? So those points on the rounding right there. Get it fixed up for you. So does that make sense why I'm calling it Anna test 1 observation, Anna test 2 observation, Megan test 1 observation, Megan test 2 observation. So now we want to look at the exams right here. And we have mean for exam 1 equals to 80. Mean for exam 2 equals to 72. Standard deviation for exam 1 equals to 3. Standard deviation for exam 2 equals to 12. A lot more variation. And it can help to kind of mention that these are the observations. Those are Anna's observations. These are Megan's observations. These are the means for distributions. Exam 1 mean, exam 2 mean, and we have here standard deviation. And then we have here standard deviation for exam 2. To qualify for language honors, a major must maintain at least an 85 average. So the easy question here, ooh, interesting. No, I think they didn't do it this time. With this question right here, all we have to do is find out the what's for each of these students. So think right here. We've got here Anna's scores. So we've got Anna, and we've got Megan. And on the exams, we have 82, 82. And then we have Megan made a 74 and a 93. Is that right? Megan scored 74, 93. So what do we have to do to these? What am I doing right here? What am I doing? What have I found for them? What do we find? Because it says, to qualify for the language honors, a major must maintain at least an 85 average across all language courses taken. So you have to have an 85 average. So what did I find for the two students right here? I found their what? What did we find for them? Which the answer is no and no. So I found, I'm looking at this right here and then evaluating the what. What am I finding for those students? I'm looking at their what? I'm evaluating their average. So both those students do not have the required average. But then the question of which student performed better is the tough question right here. Did we lose the question? Oh, no. Oh, because I switched to my Pearson. Ay. Well, we have to do this one without showing that we got it right, but we will get it right. Which student scored overall better? Which student scored overall better? The student that scored overall better is going to be the one with better z-scores. So let's draw this out right here. The first distribution of test 1 is going to look the following way. Test 1 right here is going to be like this and have a mean of 80. There's the mean, and a standard deviation of 3. So this would be 83, 86, 89, 77, and then 74, and then 71. Let's put right here a mark for our student of interest, and Anna scored right here. Anna's z-score is going to be positive 0.66 because she's 2/3 of a standard deviation above the mean, which can be found by observation 82 minus 80 over 3. So that's 0.66 for Anna right there on that distribution. But then for Megan, we have right here, Megan scored a 74, which is below average, and that's an easy one. For 1,000 points, who can tell me Megan's z-score? Megan's z-score is super easy to find. Just look at it visually and think, what is Megan's z-score for exam 1? Megan's z-score for exam 1 is what? For 1,000 points, what is Megan's z-score for exam 1? What is Megan's z-score for exam 1? Which we can solve it out here mathematically by doing observation, which is her observed value, minus the mean over the standard deviation. So we can solve it out here mathematically, but what is her z-score? Megan's z-score is going to be, points on the line right here, -2. Blake, great job right there. -2. Excellent work. Points in the chat. I think he did it. Let me see. I put an extra slash on that by accident. See if he adds it. We'll add some more. Why not? Mary, you got to be here to get the points. So that's the first exam. So Megan scored much below average right there. Now we go to the second exam right here. The second exam had a mean of 72. Tell me if these wrong numbers. And so 72 right there. Standard deviation is larger. And so now we go here and add 12 each time to 84, 96, 108. We go here 60, and then 48, and then 36. And now Megan, we'll do Megan first. Megan scored a 93 on the second exam. So she's over here. And that's a z-score of, so for Megan, it's 1.75, I believe. I got my, nice job, Leanne. Awesome. Soon should come by my exam review. Oh, thank you so much, Leanne, right there. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Where is it? Which review session is that? And where's it at? Drop where it's at. Good stuff right there. Thank you so much, Leanne. Excellent work. 93 minus 72 over 12 right there. That should be 1.75. So 93 minus 72, 1.75. And then Anna, SI review, nice job. SI reviews are awesome. Huge shout outs right there to SI. Thank you so much. And that's the Monday, right? Is that the Monday? And then the other one right here is Anna, and Anna scored an 82. So Anna scoring 82 is right here. It's a little harder one to solve. So 82 minus 72 over 12. And so now that's going to be 2 12s. Or no, wait. I'm not going to do it in my head. 10 12s. 0.83. Oh, yeah, because it's 1/6. So right here, it's a little bit of a tricky one because, well, you can see it. Anna scored. Anna's in green right here. So Anna's scores are in green, and Megan's scores are in red. Megan did below average on average because she has a big -2 z-score, but then her positive one doesn't really make up for that. Anna was just kind of above average on both, but who did better on average? Well, so Anna would do better because she has 2 positive z-scores. If you average those together for Anna, her average z-score was this. That's the average of Anna's z-scores, where Megan's going to have a -2 right there. And so you add that to her other z-score, and she still has an average that's negative. So Megan would average out a little below average, and Anna would be a little bit above average, even though Megan did better on one exam. So overall, Megan did a little bit below average, so Anna would do better. So good question right there. That's a lot of good work. Like, you could guess it, but that's the problem. Is like, I wish they said, like, solve the z-scores, show the z-scores as you do your work, because it's a lot of good practice. So my best advice is to draw these things out, to understand what the notation is. If you can write out this problem like this, then you really understand what you're doing. So practice writing it out right there. Really good work. We got the European shoe sizes. We'll do that one. Let's see right here. We might switch over because, are you wondering, Leanne? We'll switch to 474 right now. We'll probably come back to 201. So the other questions, 201, are in videos. We've done European shoe sizes. We've done Celsius conversion. We've done that one too, the language one. But check out the other videos if you're looking for them, or ask while we have time. If we have time, can we go over? Yeah, that's what we'll do right here, Nicole. Question number 3. Is that the trigger function we're doing, right? People are wondering about question 3 and question 1. So we're going to jump the line on these. 3B, look at them, some 3. Oh, I'm still vanished. Still vanished. Oh, yeah, let's take a look here at question 1 to begin with. And question 5. People want question 5. So we'll try to do as many of these as we can right here. Jumping a little to 474. Question 1, 3, and 5. Okay, let's start with question 1 right here. Here we go. Okay. 5503. So on the first question right here, we're doing some ifs and elses. So when you're doing these right here, Set up an if-else statement for one of each of the bullets. Define a variable called x to be positive if num is 0 and more, or 0 or more, and negative if num is less than 0. So we're just doing is something positive or negative right here. And the way to do this is to understand how if-else works. So when you're doing if-else works right here, you're going to run some test cases with the value being -6, and then do the same with with 29. So you want to store right here num is -6, and num is 29, and then you want to run test case 1, and then you want to run test case, I think there's, or example 1, problem 1, is there 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to show it works on all 4 of these. Does that make sense? This is the theory behind how your answer should look. So your answer should, in theory, store the number into num as -6, then run through each one of those and show that it works. So what you want to do right here is, like, let's say I want to know if my number is divisible by 10. So I want to know if -6 is divisible by 10. How could I check, since it's num, how could I check if it's divisible by 10? How could I check that? How could I check for 3B, I request going over, say, trigger function with rep function? Oh, yeah. Can I request going over saving the trigger function with the rep function? So I wouldn't save it. You could create it with rep. I'll show you here. I can show you that, Katie. So we'll do that next, Katie. I'll show, like, how to make the trigger. Like, I wouldn't save it with rep. I'd create it with rep, which you can create it with rep. I'll show that next. How could I check to see if num is divisible by 10? How could I check that? Which is kind of similar to some of the ones you're doing, but this is not a real problem right here. How can I check if num is divisible by 10? Yeah, no worries, no worries. We'll do that here right next. So that's perfect. We'll do 3B. Because this one I can't do too much on unless I'll be solving all the things. But it should show the theory of how to write these for these problems right here. So how could I check if num is divisible by 10? What could I do? I want to see if that number is divisible by 10. You can answer these codes. Like, if I do similar but different work, you can always answer these. And I can answer that down here next. That tells me the remainder. So if it's divisible by 10... Oh, so... No worries, Katie, right there. If num is divisible by 10, then the remainder when I divide it by 10 should be what? If num is divisible by 10, then the remainder when I divide it by 10 should be what? If num is divisible by 10, then the remainder when I divide it by 10, it should be, yep. So this tells me num is not divisible by 10. And so I could go, if this is true, then we would say here, divisible, or goes into 10 equally, or else doesn't go into 10. And you can see right here, if I change what num is, it works. So this is showing in theory right here how to do them with the if and the else. So the if evaluates a singular true or false. The if needs to have a singular true or false, and then needs to run the code inside the if it's true. If it evaluates to false, it runs what's in the false. So you want to think about how to write these with if-else's right here. So that's about as much as I can do on this one without, like, totally doing the problem. But let's go down to some 3B. And good question right there, Katie, on how to get this vector right here. So here we are on 3B with the trigger vector. And so let's put a new timestamp. Gonna grab some lunch between here in a little bit. Okay, got a new timestamp for question 3B. And the first thing we might want to do is create a spot for the trigger vector. So this I can show, because if you want to create, let's say, creation of trigger vector. Now be careful, you don't want to add things like hashtags or random symbols. I think I've seen some errors right there. Be very careful. You also do not want to remove this R because that calls the language. That's just the name of the chunk you're calling. Be very careful. I've seen a lot of errors already. I got to work without using rep to do a vector. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do right here. Because what we can do is, if we have our closed vector, which I still have, we could go here and we could say trigger is the creation of a rep function where we rep missingness, and we are going to do it for the length of the closed vector, not that. So length of the closed vector. So, or you could also, I think it's fine if you do this. You might set them all to falses. That's still a logical vector right there. But does this make sense here, Katie? You could set it all to false, like you're not going to buy the stock until you get the trigger to buy it. So you could use the rep function to say repeat. I guess you could say you're not buying it on the first day. Like the function doesn't apply, but you could I would either set it all to NAs for missingness, like we haven't evaluated yet, or I would set it to falses, like we're not going to buy until we get the trigger to tell us to buy. You can do concatenate rep. The rep already does like a vector for you, so you can do concatenate and it'll do it. But then you'd get the option to like put something at the start of it. It'll get mad if I do something. I could put like a true at the start of this vector now by going here, and you could concatenate a true with the rep function. So now the first element of this is true. If you take a look at this vector. So if you wanted to say like the first element is true, but then add to it this, the concatenate allows you to join things, but the rep itself will do it for you. Does that make sense? So if you concatenate with a rep inside of it, you're just saying the first element is a true, the second element is a repeating of it. Yep. Excellent work right there. Let's throw out some more points in the chat. What's everyone thinking right here? We got to do the big points. What are people wondering about question 3? I can't do the exact work, but what are people wondering? So don't add that true at the start. You don't want that. There we go. What are people wondering about question 3? People are saying question 3. What are people wondering about it? What are people trying to solve on it? Being like, I just gotta get this part solved. 3B is right here. 3B. Left arrow the closed column into the subset of vector name closed and create a vector called trigger of equal length of closed. So we just did that right there. Containing false, no quotes for each element using rep. There we go right there. Your goal is to write a for loop that replaces the fourth and the fifth elements of trigger with true, no quotes, like etc. when the trading strategy is triggered. Okay. So we need to know if we're going to buy this stock. Let's say I'm only going to buy a stock. If I'm only going to buy a stock, if the stock is like I want to short stocks, let's say. Yep. Let's say I've got Pepsi prices right here, and Pepsi is stored into a vector of the following. And I'm only going to buy Pepsi if Pepsi has gone down. It's really ridiculous, right? Sure, let's do it that way. I'm only going to buy Pepsi if Pepsi's gone down 2 days in a row. So let's think about this. You ready? Would I buy Pepsi right here, yes or no? This is a fake problem. No, that sounds about right. Because you'll see, so let's write the code and see if it works on this. Like, I would say take your close vector and do what I'm doing right here. And like maybe take elements 1 through 10 of your close vector and see if your strategy works, or elements 1 through 20 to give yourself some sanity checks. So if you look at my Pepsi vector right here, we're only going to buy the Pepsi stock if it goes up 2 days in a row. Should I buy Pepsi stock right here, yes or no? I'm only going to buy it if it's gone up 2 days in a row. Should I buy Pepsi stock right there? We're just going to look at it and do it ourselves right here. And then we're going to get the code to do it for us. Should I buy it now? Nope. Why not? Because, well, we don't have anything to evaluate before it, right? Like we can't even evaluate right there, right? So we wouldn't even evaluate that position. I can't even evaluate this position, but I could evaluate right here, right? Remember, this is a fake problem where I'm asking, did it go up 2 days in a row to do something slightly similar but different? So now looking backwards, did it go up, up, up? Should I buy right here? Yes or no? So we can start to actually make the answer right here. Should I buy on the 3rd? Did it go up 2 days in a row? That's my criteria for shorting the stock. Because I'm going to do a short. I'm going to try to do shorts. It's when you try to say the stock's going to go down. Should I buy right there? It's exactly. It didn't go up, up. So nope, no buy right there. How about right here? Should I buy right here? Did it go up 2 days prior? So we looked at the 2 days prior. Did it go up and up? Nope. But check this out. Right here, it went up and up. So we would know that this is the first true. So that's what we should be seeing right here, is this is where our first true is. So let's think about where we started evaluating. I started evaluating at position what? I started evaluating at position what? I started evaluating at position what? No worries, we'll record this at position 3. Great job, Katie, right there. So I started evaluating at position 3. So I'd ask, in the Pepsi stock, I called it 2, so it's not 3 in position 3. There's position 3, and I asked, did it go up? So I'm asking, is position 3 what to position 2? So this is how I'm going to write my code to see if I should buy it. Is position 3 what to position 2? Is position 3 what to position 2? Because I want to know, did it go up? This is my fake problem right here, though. Do you think we can go over question 5, warning message? Yeah, warning message. Is position 3 what to position 2? Because I want to know, did it go up? So is position 3, because I want to know, did it go up? Greater than position 2. Oh, wait. It's not. Yeah, because we're doing position 3 to start. So position 3 is not greater than position 2. But, and that'll evaluate on its own right there. I'm also checking, and I need someone to help me out right here. I'm also checking what? Because I want to know it went up 2 days in a row. So I need, and you can do a double and, because that'll actually stop it. Once it knows that that's false, it actually won't go further. The double and is like a block if it knows the answer. Because if there's a false and you're doing an and, that actually stops it from evaluating. It saves it more time. I think of it as like a stop evaluating thing. So the double and means as long as it knows that there's one false, it won't evaluate as true. Like it'll just stop the evaluation of the running of code. So you could literally put something right here just like that, and it runs. But if you have this right here, it says it can't find that object. The double and is like a block from it evaluating more. So what do we want right here? It gets 2 times harder for putting a loop. Oh, so yeah, that's where we're about to get to. I'm about to loop this and solve it for that vector right here. So because now we don't want to just check is 3 greater than 2 for my fake problem. We want to check is what? Is 2 greater than 1? And because we didn't evaluate it true to begin with, the thing is false anyways, and the way the code runs 2 greater than 1. Exactly, Katie. Feel free. You can run, Katie. Great work. I'll definitely do the warning. And so thank you so much. I love the answers. That's what I'd like. I'm just like, no, Katie's got to leave, but you're giving all the answers, which is what we want. So now check this out. I can do this by plugging in a 3 right here and associating this to be I. Oh, didn't call it I. And this would be I minus 1, because that's 2. I minus 1 is 2. And this would be I minus 1. And this would be I minus 2. So this does the exact same thing for me right here. The exact same thing is performed by running this code right here. But I can now change it. And remember, we should see it buy on the 5th. And check it out. This confirms it works. Exactly. And does that make sense? I just ran it for the 5th element and confirmed it works. So now I know my code works. So I need to, well, this is just the getting it to work, right? Because now I have, you see it, you know he's here. Now I've created my skeleton. So now that we have a skeleton, we have to think about how to put this into a loop. We've confirmed it works by changing I. Now we just have to figure out what I is. So we have to go here for I. And remember, I started I at 3. The way I wrote mine is I starts at 3, and I will go through the length. I will go through the length of Pepsi. And so now when I run this, I also want to store the output into my trigger vector, and it'll store into trigger position I, and my trigger vector needs to be trigger of rep of false for length of Pepsi. And that ran that one. These runs this one's. And nope, well, we're looking at Pepsi. We need to put our store into, because I'm storing for the ith element my choice to do. And there's the answers. And we do see it true in the 5th. Yeah, length, or for me, Pepsi, exactly. So with this right here, we're running it so that, and the thing is, remember, I didn't just write this code. So if you try writing the full thing inside the loop, it might not work. You might have an error. You might have something that doesn't run. I looked at it in theory and thought, okay, I need to buy on the 5th one. I knew what my answer should look like when I was running it. So I'm like, okay, what is this going to do? I need to check day 3 is greater than day 2. I need to check day 2 is greater than day 1. And then I need to do it for like each additional day right here. So now that I have my trigger vector, I know when I should buy my stocks. Does that make sense? Kind of some work right there. So it seems my if statement has issues. Yeah, you might have an if. I wouldn't do an if. Does it say to use an if on the problem? You're not going to do it with an if, because you can just go right here and use the ands. Like you can just evaluate. So yeah, you can do it with an if. So I guess you could go right here and say, if this, then true, and else false. Is that right? If that right there, and then we need to open this up a little bit more. What's mad about the double and? If this, because you like it now. If this, then true. Else, then false. Syntax on this a little bit odd. Let's rewrite our trigger vector right here. Let's run it. Let's do it. There we go. Same answer. Yeah, there's just so many. This is why, like, when we code stuff right here, there's so many ways to do things. Like, sometimes you can do it without. I'm trying to think if there's a way to do this with an if else. Like, I think this is one of the ones where you can't use an if else, like if else. So I'm bummed because, you know me, I love my if else's. But you could run it right here. Like, if this condition is true, then store true. Because you could even put, like, buy the stock. Buy the stock. Else don't buy the stock. So you could instruct somebody right here. And now I see it, you know, we want to put missingness. So I sometimes do stuff like this in case people are directly copying. I want people to understand what we're doing and how we can kind of manipulate the code. And now I can store a different object into there. Missing value or true false needed. So that means you might be, it sounds like you're going outside, probably a length of vector thing. Try this, Katie. Take your vector and try running it on something like, let's say 10 through 20. And mine probably is going to give the same issue. Or let me try 10 through. Does my vector go that long? Value or true false needed. That means your loop is escaping. So a value of I that is plugged in has gone beyond your loop because the length of the thing about what I's you're using, the way you reference them with like pluses or minuses could cause you to either start the loop beforehand. So if you were to go here and go to 3 and go through 10, you could see if that works. But if I go to -3, it's going to get mad, and it's giving me not logical. See, and then it gives the same error message right there. It says probably the loop is escaping the values for which it can evaluate. So that's the vector you're going through escapes, and probably has to do with the way you're referencing the I's. Think about your maximum and your minimum values of I's. So your maximum value of I would be here at the end. So I need to have at least position 10, and the minimum value of I needs to be -5, and Pepsi doesn't have a -5 position. Does that make sense to say it that way? Like, when I plug in -3 right here, this goes to position -5, so that doesn't even exist. So I could just plug in, for example, 2, and it gives me an error right here because when it runs the code over here, it plugs in 2, and that's going to go to position 0. So there is no position 0 in the Pepsi vector, so just doing that causes an issue on the loop. So definitely think about the ends of your loop. So it works when I test. So try just decreasing the lower end a little bit and see where the lower end goes. And then you might have done your loop. Did you use minuses like I, or no, you used pluses, I bet, right? Did you use pluses like I plus this, I plus this? The lower end is like the lowest number on the loop right here. Like, this is the lower end of your loop. But I'm thinking you use pluses. Did you use pluses on your loops? Like, did you do I plus this, I plus this? You did I plus, right? So now since you're doing I plus, that means if you go through the length of the vector, then you'll be outside of it at the end, because if I go to the length of the vector right here, this is the length of the vector plus 2. There is nothing outside of that. So you actually want to end your loop a little bit early. Does that make sense? So you want to do something like, I'm not going to tell you the direct answer, but you want to do something like length of your Pepsi object if you're doing Pepsi, and then you want to evaluate minus a value. I'm not going to say what the value is, but you want to stop it a little bit early, and I'd have this evaluate. Watch out, because there's a difference between 1 through 10 minus 2, and then there's a difference between evaluating this and doing it. So be careful. A lot of times people do this error. I've seen it where they do like 1 through 10 minus 2. You want to make sure you do like 1 through and then minus that value right here. You want to evaluate this and subtract it off the end. Just look at your eyes and think about like, okay, well, I'd have to stop at this early lest it escape with the pluses since I'm going through the lengths. It would be. Yeah, because no, not the value of I. It's gonna be the maximum right here. So the maximum value of what you're going through. So because then you need to stop it. You need to stop it that early, lest you'll add that much on, because the maximum value of I reaches length, but you don't want it to reach length. You want it to reach a little bit less than. I have a more conceptual question for 2A on the assignment. We might have just enough time right here. We're gonna talk about that. So yes, it'll be part of the for loop because you'll have to stop it up here. It's the vector you go through. What does it mean by remember to use factor? To turn something into a factor, if we have this right here, like we've done this on this for loop, and we have this trigger right here, and we want to turn it into a categorical variable, we can go right here and go factor around it, and boom, it's a factor. And the difference between these is if you do a summary of a string, what is that? If you do a summary of a string, you get the characters, but if we go here and convert this into a factor, which we can overwrite it and now do the summary afterwards, it'll give us, we just buy the, we don't never buy the stock, it looks like. So awesome, Katie's got it right there. Does that make sense, Kyle, right there? So converting to a factor right there will convert the variable class. Got rid of the error, nice job. It's all about those little tiny little bits. Need some more Rick and Morty sound effects here. I think we came up with like some more sound effects we need, like oof and a whole bunch of stuff. Let's look at that error message. We'll end off here with that. It doesn't match sanity check. Message me before you lose your mind. Message me, because now that you have it so close, I can probably just do a small fix on it. So message me your code. I'll be checking it out a little bit later. So take a break, message your code, relax. I'm gonna have a lot of messages later. Okay, so we have a warning message right here. Let me mark this. This is the cosine one. A warning message. Now I'm gonna hop off. Nice job. See you in 20 minutes. Yes. I'm gonna go eat some lunch here in a second. Okay, we've got the warning message we're going to talk about here for question 5. And so what we're going to do right here, where's that warning message? I think it's about the vectors not being the same length, right? So example, is the vectors not the same length? I think. Trying to look at case question. Warning message. Okay, yeah, warning message. And it's about the vectors being the same length. And here it is right here. Should return, and where is it? Where the vector is not the same length. Your custom warning message. Oh, because you don't enter in a whole number for the leaps function. So what you'd want to do right here is you want to look at what someone gives you for this value, which is going to be part of your function, which does have a default right here. So when we do this, I think it's 1 for the leaps right here. The default is that for the lag right there. So if you want to see if something's a whole number, you'd want to see if lag is when you divide it by 1, if the remainder is equal to 0. Hiccups. So whatever someone stores into lag will be part of the function right here, and that is not divisible by 0. Now what I might do so my function doesn't cause issues is I might just round it, and I'm going to round it afterwards. Does it say to round the lag? Lag is an integer. Look right there. Got the code. You may assume it's always a number. And so I probably want to fix this for them if it is, but we'll just kind of round it anyways. We'll round the lag to 0 decimals and we fix it. But before we fix it, we want to tell them something. We want to say if this condition is true right here, then we're going to print a message. So messages don't stop, and it says something like, I have rounded your lag for you. So this only runs if the condition is true. I don't have everything in components, but then I probably want to also overwrite what they put into lag so my function doesn't have issues, because putting in a value like that could cause issues. So I'm going to overwrite what they put for lag with a value of lag that's rounded. Hopefully that makes sense right there. I did this one a little bit quickly, but someone puts into my function a value of lag, hypothetically 5.3. Then I'm going to look to see if that value of lag is divisible by 1, i.e. a remainder of 0 when you divide by 1. And then we go right here and we would say if that condition right there I just said is, we want to say is not. Is not. So is not divisible by 0, then run the message. So if it's not divisible by 0, then run the message. And I guess we could actually do the conversion inside of here. Should work. Let me just test it out. Hello. Try hello right there. Should work. We can get messages to print here. And let's look at the value of lag. Yeah, it did it. Yeah, just run inside here. It runs this code. That's what that means. The square bracket means run the code inside of here. And so there it is. if lag in when we divide by 1 is not equal to 0, then overwrite what lag is with lag rounded to 0 digits, and also print this message to the screen. So that code only runs printing the message and changing what lag is, so we don't have to do extra stuff, only if the condition is met, where when we divide lag by 1, its remainder is not equal to 0. And that's got it. We'll be back here with class in 50 minutes. Bye for now, everyone. Bye!